The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Chapter 5 Riddles in the Dark, Part 4. Gollum had not actually threatened to kill him or tried to yet, and he was miserable, alone, lost. A sudden understanding, a pity mixed with horror, welled up in Bilbo's heart. A glimpse of endless dark days without light or hope of betterment. Hard stone, cold fish, sneaking and whispering. All this thought passed in a flash of a second. He trembled, and then, quite suddenly, in another flash, as if lifted by a new strength and resolve, he leaped. No great leap for man, but a leap in the dark. Straight over Golem's head he jumped, 7 feet forward and 3 in the air. Indeed, had he known it, he only just missed cracking his skull on the low arch of passage. Golem threw himself backwards and grabbed as the hobbit flew over him, but too late. His hand snapped on the thin air, and Bilbo, falling fair on his sturdy feet, sped off down the new tunnel. He did not turn to see what Golem was doing. There was a hissing and cursing almost at his heels at first, then it stopped. All at once there came a blood curdling shriek filled with hatred and despair. Golem was defeated. He dared go no further. He had lost his prey, and lost too the only thing he had ever cared for, his precious. The cry brought Bilbo's heart to his mouth, but still he held on. Now faint as an echo, but menacing, the voice came behind. Thief, 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 Baggins. We hate it, we hate it, we hate it forever. Then there was a silence, but that too seemed menacing to Bilbo. If goblins are so near that he smelled them, he thought, then they will have heard his shrieking and cursing. Careful now, or this way will lead you to worse things. The passage was low and roughly made. It was not too difficult for a hobbit, except when, in spite of all care, he stubbed his poor toes again, several times, on nasty jagged stones in the floor. A bit low for goblins, at least for the big ones, thought Bilbo, not knowing that even for the big ones the orcs of the mountains go along at a great speed, stooping low with their hands almost on the ground. Soon the passage that had been sloping down began to go up again, and after a while it climbed steeply. That slowed Bilbo down, but at last the slope stopped. The passage turned a corner and dipped down again, and there, at the bottom of short incline, he saw, filtering round another corner, a glimpse of light. Not red light as of fire or lantern, but a pale, out of door sort of light. Then Bilbo began to run. Scuttling as fast as his legs would carry him, he turned the last corner and came suddenly right into an open space, where the light, after all the time in the dark, seemed dazzlingly bright. Really, it was only a leak of sunshine in through a doorway, where a great door, a stone door, was left standing open. Bilbo blinked, and then suddenly he saw the goblins. Goblins in full armor with drawn sword sitting just inside the door and watching it with wild eyes and watching the passage that led to it. They were aroused, alert, ready for anything. They saw him sooner than he saw them. Yes, they saw him. Whether it was an accident or the last trick of the ring before it took a new master, it was not on his finger. With yells of delight, the goblins rushed upon him. A pang of fear and loss, like an echo of Gollum's misery, smote Bilbo, and forgetting even to draw his sword, he stuck his hand into his pockets. And there was the ring still in his left pocket. and it slipped on his finger. The goblins stopped short. They could not see a sign of him. He had vanished. They yelled twice as loud as before, but not so delightedly. Where is it? They cried. Go back up the passage, some shouted. This way, some yelled. That way, others yelled. Look out for the door, bellowed the captain. Whistles blew, armor clashed, swords rattled, goblins cursed and swore and ran hither and thither, falling over one another and getting very angry. There was a terrible outcry, to do, and disturbance. Bilbo was dreadfully frightened, but he had the sense to understand what had happened and to sneak behind a big barrel which held drink for goblin guards, and so get out of the way and avoid being bumped into, trampled to death, or caught by Feel. I must get to the door. I must get to the door. He kept on saying to himself, but it was a long time before he ventured to try. Then it was like a horrible game of blind man's bluff. The place was full of goblins running about, and poor little hobbit dodged this way and that, was knocked over by a goblin who could not make out what he had bumped into, scrambled away on all fours, slipped between the legs of the captain just in time, caught up, and ran for the door. It was still ajar, but a goblin had pushed it nearly to. Bilbo struggled, but he could not move it. He tried to squeeze through the crack. He squeezed, and he stuck. It was awful. His buttons had got wedged on the edge of the door and the door post. He could see outside into open air. There were a few steps running down into a narrow valley between tall mountains. The sun came out from behind a cloud and shone bright on the outside of the door, but he could not get through. Suddenly, one of the goblins inside shouted, There is a shadow by the door. Something is outside. Bilbo's heart jumped into his mouth. He gave a terrific scream. Buttons burst off in all directions. He was through. With a torn coat and waistcoat, leaping down the steps like a goat, while bewildered goblins were still picking up his nice brass buttons on the doorsteps. Of course, they soon come down after him, hooting and hallooing and hunting among the trees, but they don't like the sun. It makes their legs wobble and their heads giddy. They could not find Bilbo with the ring on, slipping in and out of the shadow of the trees, running quick and quiet, and keeping out of the sun. So soon they went back, grumbling and cursing to guard the door. Bilbo had escaped. That's the end of chapter 5. Um, I think this chapter really introduced Golem pretty well, and I hope you were able to feel the pity that Bilbo felt for Golem. Like if you can imagine how his life must have been. I felt it while watching the movie and while reading the books as well. Okay, that's it. See you for the in the next chapter. Bye.